Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Code Blue, America in turmoil. Where the past week felt like a blender set to puree with the lid off, the streets are buzzing, protests are popping up like TikTok trends, and somehow Bernie Sanders has gone full final boss mode against the oligarchs, rallying the masses like it's 2016 but with extra caffeine. From Wall Street to Main Street, people are just mad. In fact, a certain car brand is going up in flames, literally. Americans are just angry at the new administration. They're also revolting with the energy of 1,000 union strikes, and deservingly so. Get ready, folks, because if this week is any sign, democracy is about to get a whole lot louder. Don't just take my word for it. I brought receipts. First up, we've got a town hall featuring a senator from Iowa, Chuck Grassley. He's got decades of experience in Congress. Now, you'd think after all those years, they'd want to go out with a little dignity, right? Well, let's just say the voters had other plans. Watch and enjoy the secondhand embarrassment unfold.
Isn't the Department of Education the law of the land?
It's Republican Party. Let him talk.
Okay. So then, just in case you're wondering, will those programs go away with what Trump's doing? The answer is no. And he has said that because they're the law. They are the law. And just as an example,
You can't say law for him and not law for us.
So how is it that then when judges make decisions that all Trump does is say, oh, they should be impeached, you know, and he is making us afraid to stand up for our own rights because we're going to then be sent to El Salvador into a high security.
That's right. And we're going to follow his law?
Judges' rulings should be abided by.
That's not what you said.
Judges' rulings should be abided by. And I read statements in the newspaper that Trump was going to do the same thing, but he was going to appeal. And so
And how much does that cost us?
there's a hundred.
How much does that cost us?
And how much will it cost us to bail the farmers out?
Let him answer.
Well, we are. Who are you?
He's had 66 years in office.
There's 120.
We have a right to talk.
Hey, I got the same right you do. Let him
Gotta keep
answer.
it going. You sound like a-
There's 127 cases filed
He does.
compared to about a dozen with previous questions. So what you learned in 8th grade civics, the checks and balances of the government are going to continue to work. That's the
It's not working.
Elon Musk, who was not appointed by anything with the advice and consent of the
You can bring every one of us down. Have you seen us?
access to our personal data.
Yeah.
Why
Thank
do
you for everybody.
into everything that, you know, he hasn't even been vetted for anything. In fact, he's still a citizen of not only the U.S., but of Canada and South Africa. I mean, why is he the #1 person that is just going through and overhauling everything by cutting everything?
And why is Congress allowing that?
Pays no taxes.
It seems to me that what you're seeing going on today is what I've heard 2 Democrat presidents say since I've been in the United States Senate.
This is not Republican, Democrat. This is about us, the people.
I'm talking to you.
That's collectively, not just us.
Everyone's okay with fraud, but you find fraud by actually looking for it. You don't find it by just saying, okay, I'm going to cut off your funding. You can't, that's no way of finding fraud.
Right.
I mean, let's
That's
be-
right.
Security fraud done by doctors and nurses who file fraudulent claims against, Medicaid, right? So why are we going after them? Why are we actually cutting the access to the, money that the people need? Why are you assuming that people who are receiving benefits are in the wrong?
That's right.
again, addressing you. I'll give you an example of $20 million in the Defense Department that since Trump's been president, and I asked him to do away with the Agency of National Assessment, which is supposed to assess annually the needs of our national security, and they haven't been doing it since 2013, but they've been assuming $20 million. They announced that they were going to do away with the Agency of National Assessment within the Department of Defense. I think I ought to go on to other people now.
In the back?
Senator, may I ask a question? Senator?
Yeah, obviously the Senate and the House has the power of oversight of the government, of the President and people in his administration. It seems to me that Trump and his people are moving very rapidly toward a dictatorship and an oligarchy. That's a very, very serious matter. Our country is in serious jeopardy, it seems to me, cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and a whole lot of other programs, even though they deny they're going to do it. And firing people at will and just randomly isn't solving anything.
Right, that's right.
Statistics, you gotta know what those numbers represent.
But my question is, what are you doing regarding oversight? All the concerns, but I've not heard anything from you or any of the Republicans in the Senate or the House for that matter. And so you have the power of oversight. So the courts are doing their job and doing it really well to rein in Trump and others. But we need to have the Senate and the House also providing oversight. And so it is your job, obviously, which you've been doing for decades. You know it's your job, but we are depending on you and the others to help save democracy.
You speak up.
I will address your question. I think I gave you one example of $20 million in the Department of Defense. I think I've got another thing. I've got an investigative staff on, and we've got 33 investigations going in. So I'd have to have you, I can't give you all 33 of those investigations.
Give us one.
But well, one of them would be the waste in the EPA as an example.
What you just said,
Okay.
20 million.
Behind you, behind.
Democracy, the waste in the EPA. I mean, what are you going to do and what are you doing to save democracy? This is...
That's right.
Next is the video that takes us to a Republican town hall in Spokane where voters had a very Canadian moment, raising the maple leaf flag and calling for Trump's impeachment. Now, despite what the president might claim, these folks aren't undercover lefties on a payroll. Nope, they're from deep red Republican districts, real, passionate conservatives who are absolutely furious. And honestly, they've got every reason to be.
I've been in Spokane for 39 years from New Jersey. I've never been involved in politics before, but this is getting really scary. Okay, so the things that frighten me is the way this insane president talks about Canada as a 51st state. Taking Panama by force and buying Greenland. How does this person qualify as sane? Why is he not being impeached right now?
Up next, we've got House Republican Harriet Hagerman. You know, the one who replaced Liz Cheney from Wyoming? She is getting a good old-fashioned Wyoming welcome. A chorus of boos, and why? Because she decided to defend Elon Musk. Turns out, even in cowboy country, there's a limit to how much billionaire fan clubbing folks will tolerate.
The opportunity to do town halls, because it lets me come here, give you an update on what I'm doing back in Washington, D.C., and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me questions. Before we get there, however, I get it that there are people here who dislike me, but there are also people here who want to hear what I have to say. And if you have so little respect for our process and for what we are in this country, then I would ask you to leave. It's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government, but here's the thing. You guys are going to have a heart attack if you don't calm down. I'm sorry. Your hysteria is just really over the top.
Now this next one has a ring to it. Republican rep. Rich McCormick just found himself in the political version of a talent show gone wrong, getting loudly booed at a town hall when he struggled to answer whether Donald Trump was inching toward tyranny. Spoiler alert, the crowd had strong opinions, and let's just say they weren't handing out participation trophies.
Will be lost forever and tyranny will rise. I believe you know the rest of his speech. Something about give me liberty. It's clear from all the writings of our founding fathers that our great republic was never meant to be ruled by a dictator nor a king. My shock and pure horror when I woke up to find that our president had given himself unprecedented executive powers and then within a few days named himself king to his followers.
Where's the question?
Tyranny.
Do you have a question for the Congress?
I do. Thank you. Tyranny is rising in the White House, and a man has declared himself our king. So I would like to know, rather, the people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
I'm not going to give you my best foghorn leghorn response, but what I was eating, go ahead, sit down, thank you. When you talk about tyranny, when you talk about presidential power, I remember having the same discussion with Republicans when Biden was elected. The funny thing is, you're sitting here and a lot of you would probably say those January 6s who are yelling just as loud as you. So yelling at me is not going to get any answer.
You are expensive to the people.
Like I said,
Point of order. Hey, let's get through this commentary.
I've seen Game of Thrones too, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on because... If you'd stop yelling, I will answer, otherwise we'll move on. If you would stop talking for a second, I will answer your question.
Don't forget us.
So if you listen to what we've projected, this goes both parties, by the way. This is a bipartisan problem. The REINS Act, which reins in executive power for both parties, whoever's in party power, and I think it can be tweaked actually to be much better. I don't think executive privilege should be as strong as it is. I think we're out of balance right now. I think your direct representation, whether you like me or not, I'm the closest thing you have to represent. Your senator's not going to be as representative as me, and the president's not going to be as representative as me when it comes to you, the people in this district. Likewise, I think state government needs to be more powerful than federal government. It used to be that federal funds only made up 1/3 of the money spent, and states was 2/3. It's more representative of your money and your money spent. That's better. Always push government down to the local level because you'll get better representation.
What are you doing
I don't
about
want
the
to see
king?
the president make all the decisions.
The
I
king!
don't.
What about the king? What about the king? How do you feel about the king?
Do you not want to hear that I just said? I answered directly. I said I don't want to see any president be too powerful.
What are you doing about it? Right now.
I just told you we have an act. We have an act that can be passed by bipartisan resolution. The problem is we couldn't pass it when Joe Biden was in
Because he didn't want to be king.
Then why didn't he pass it?
Who was yours?
But Biden wouldn't pass it, and the Senate, the democratically controlled Senate would not touch it because they wanted Biden to have executive privilege that was too big too. And this is the problem. This is a bipartisan issue, guys. I'm the one saying let's work together, and you're the one screaming at me. Okay?
Biden didn't say
Let's be fair. I'm telling you how you solve this, and you're saying no, we don't want to hear that.
We want to work with someone better.
In this next one, it looks like the people of America have finally figured out where their shoe is pinching. And boy, are they making some noise about it. At a town hall in Deep Red, Nebraska, the crowd erupted into chants of tax the rich at Republican Representative Mike Flood. And just when you thought it couldn't get spicier, Flood set the room on fire, metaphorically of course, by declaring his love for Elon Musk. Let's just say the crowd wasn't exactly electrified, unless you count the booze that could probably power a Tesla factory.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So your proposal to solve this is to tax the rich.
Well. Looks like things have gotten a little spicy over at Senator Thom Tillis' office. A leaked audio recording has surfaced, featuring a delightful medley of extremely unhappy voicemails from some rather fired-up callers. Let's just say the MAGA camp is experiencing a bit of a meltdown now. Before we hit play, let me go ahead and issue a preemptive apology for the tone and for the words that have been aggressively beeped out.
Good afternoon, Senator Tillis.
That's how northern warbacks think about you southern white trash. That's what the ones who won the Civil War think about you. Do you understand that inferior bad genes, inbred stupid you and all your people?
Yeah, Thom Tillis, afraid of death threats. Then get the out of office.
I would like to talk to Thom Tillis and ask him why he thinks it's okay for him to take money from this nation and it over. Why does he think that he can tell his employers to go themselves every goddamn day, all day long, and sell his goddamn out and his employers over? Don't he know that his employers can take a axe handle and cave his head in?
And I suggest, well, you're going to have to be very careful about going out in public or talking to anybody that's real, that's an actual American, because we hate you.
If I didn't have a broken back in Southern California, I would spend the rest of my life in federal prison for a chance to cut your throat.
Good afternoon, Senator Tillis.
That's how northern warbacks think about you southern white trash. That's what the ones who won the Civil War think about you. Do you understand that inferior bad genes, inbred stupid you and all your people?
Yeah, Thom Tillis, afraid of death threats, then get the out of office.
Well, that's a wrap for me on Code Blue. If you must know, MAGAs will keep living in their cozy little echo chambers until their wallets start feeling like they've been through a paper shredder. Their personal lives turn into a bad reality show, or their benefits vanishing. Strangely enough, the heat is cranking up, and those echo chambers are starting to smoke like an overcooked Thanksgiving turkey. And shockingly, the black folks who have historically been front and center in every civil rights movement, the same ones that even white America has cashed in on, well, these black folks are sitting this one out. This time, they're kicking back with their snacks, watching the chaos unfold like, oh no, y'all got this. We'll just be over here, enjoying the show.
We'll go to the microphone.
All right, here's our next question.
In 1987, Ronald Reagan stated that tariffs don't work, they only hurt the economy. By your inaction, you are showing us that you support Trump's tariffs on our allies like Canada, as well as Trump wanting to annex Canada as our 51st state, so invading a sovereign nation that was our ally. Our stock market keeps dropping, hurting our economy, prices keep rising, which hurts your constituents that are not rich, which is the majority of us. My grandfather fought in South Pacific during World War II, fighting for human rights and against fascism, and Hitler, who Trump admires and thinks did good things. So, the UN ambassador for U.S. last month voted with Russia, North Korea, and other dictator countries that Russia didn't invade Ukraine and did nothing wrong. This is where we're at. When are you going to stand up? And we're also on the Human Rights Watch list. When are you going to stand up for us?
Let's talk about tariffs. In 2000, U.S. trade totaled $2.0 trillion, more than 4 times China's $474 billion. From 2000 to 2024, U.S. trade expanded by 167%, while China's trade surged by 1,200%, surpassing the U.S. in 2012. By 2024, total trade reached $5.3 trillion for the U.S. and $6.2 trillion for China. What did COVID teach us? 2024, COVID taught us that if we aren't a nation that makes things, if we aren't a nation that builds things, if we aren't a nation that controls our own destiny by celebrating and growing manufacturing, we are losing to China. President Trump is interested in fair trade. As we saw during his first term, President Trump successfully used tariffs to rewrite. The only way this is going to work, folks, is if I get the opportunity to answer the question. What message are you sending to these Columbus High School students? I don't think your high school civics teacher would endorse that behavior. They wouldn't endorse yours either. Okay.